Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Friday, August 9th, 2024. I am Dave Biddle. I'll be joined by Mr. Jonah Booker in just a moment. We're just going to let Jay Book cook here on the Friday edition. We didn't get a chance to have Jay Book on the show last week. He's a world traveler, my friends. You know, he's world famous. He's a world traveler, so he was unable to join us last week. So we're going to catch up. We're going to get Jay Book's thoughts on, it's been a little bit more than a week, maybe about a week and a half of camp. We get Jay Book's thoughts on all that. Before we do that, I want you guys to know about Factor Meals again and a great deal you guys can get. And I love Factor Meals because it tastes great. It's high quality and it's ready in 2 minutes. You don't have to, there's no prep, nothing. Dietitian approved. Again, ready in 2 minutes. No matter how busy you are, you'll always have time to enjoy nutritious, great tasting meals. Make today the day you start a new healthy routine. What are you waiting for? With 35 different meals and more than 60 add-ons to choose from every week, you'll always have new flavors to explore. Head to factormeals.com/bucknuts50. Use code bucknuts50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month. That's code bucknuts50 at factormeals.com/bucknuts50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is active. Take advantage. Again, this is not the microwave meals we grew up on. Not frozen. Great stuff. 2 minutes. High quality. Tell you, high quality. Jonah Booker. Good to see you as always on a Friday morning, my friend.
How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. I'm doing a little better now that I see you. And now we get to catch up. And we talk a lot of football all summer. Looking forward to camp. Obviously looking forward to the season. And haven't talked in a couple weeks. Let's kick off with quarterback. I think we both think it's going to be Will Howard. When do you think Ryan Day is going to make the decision? And just what have you seen from quarterback so far?
Yeah, I was initially thinking it was going to be this weekend that we hear something in regards to the starting quarterback, because keep in mind, he's been saying leading up to camp, he wants to make a quick decision here. Hearing him rave about Will Howard, I think that's pretty cool, kind of telling there. The biggest thing for me, Dave, is how much he has transitioned his body since he arrived in Columbus. And I know you tweeted it out. He arrived at 249. Now he's down to 233. And I thought it was fascinating that he said once he arrived in Columbus, they actually taught him how to take care of his body and how to eat right. He's being more of an adult. He's cooking his own meals now. He's not eating out as much. And you would think at any major Power 5 program who's trying to compete for titles, you're going to tell your higher echelon athletes, hey, maybe you shouldn't eat this. Maybe you should do this to better take care of your body. But I thought that was really fascinating. And what he clocked, 20 some miles per hour, ripped off an 85-yard run in the practice that the media was able to take part in. And I just think, Dave, for him, you're starting to get a guy who is showing a lot of confidence. Ryan Day said in his press conference yesterday, he now has full command of the offense. I thought that was pretty impressive because when you think about Justin Fields, Dwayne Haskins, those guys that came in, a lot of them they had previously said this playbook, it can be very difficult. It can take you a while to get down the nuances of it. Chip Kelly even said in the spring he was pretty much drinking from a water hose because you're throwing him into a situation to where, hey, the basic concepts of the playbook, but you don't really understand what you're doing. You're just trying to get through it. And so far, so good, Dave. I'm loving what I'm hearing from him. Devin Brown is having his moments. He's made some plays out there. The young freshman, Julian Sand, I think he's showing a lot of potential, a lot of talent, probably the most gifted arm talent out there, but it's probably too early to call his number. Maybe the second quarterback, who's going to be the backup quarterback, that's something to keep an eye on as we progress throughout the camp and throughout the season. Can Julian Sand push for that second spot? But as far as playing time, who's going to be your down in, down out starter? It's going to be Will Howard in my mind.
We're gonna go right down the list. Start with quarterback. All right, let's go to right guard. What are your thoughts so far? Ryan Day was asked about it yesterday. He said no update. Tegra, Carson Hinsman, maybe Luke Montgomery's in the mix. Forecast the competition at right guard for me.
Yeah, I think it's turning out to be a really good battle, Dave. And the Carson Hinsman kind of monkey in the wrench there, that's the one that's really surprised me. And kudos to this kid, man. Didn't play in the bowl game for whatever reason. We can, speculate all we want to. Could have left the program after, the transfer from Alabama came in and Seth McLaughlin, but he sticked it out. And guess what? He was an Iron Buckeye, and there was only six guys in the entire program, 6 to 8, something like that, and 3 of them were offensive linemen, and he was one of them. So that's a testament to him sticking it out, facing adversity head on, and right now he is right in the thick of it to be the starting right guard. A lot of people say that Tegra's starting to, really pick his game up. He's starting to move some people out of the way there. So him and Carson Hinsman, heck of a battle right there. Luke Montgomery, haven't heard a ton about him. I think it's just going to be a Carson Hinsman or a Tegra battle for that right guard spot. But either way, Dave, I will say this. I feel really good about how well this offensive line is going to play this year, regardless if it's Hinsman or Tegra at that right guard spot. I think it's going to be one of the best offensive line in all of college football. Those, like I said earlier, 3 guys out of that offensive line made Iron Buckeyes. That's huge. When you got Fryer and those guys, really leading the charge for those younger kids, that's big time for the program. So I'm very excited to what this offensive line is going to do. I wouldn't be surprised if they're in contention for the Joe Moore Award.
I love it. All right, let's go to Will Linebacker. My 3 biggest questions going into camp, in whatever order: quarterback, right guard, Will Linebacker. Sonny Styles, as you know, J-Book has been taking most of the first-team reps. CJ Hicks has been rotating in. What do you make of that, and how do you think this is going to work out as the season progresses?
Yeah, I think you're going to see a lot of playing time from both guys. I think they both bring different elements to the field there. Sonny's probably going to be your starter once they kick off the season. But CJ Hicks, man, hey, I love what he's talking about too. He got me fired up when he said he's throwing his name in the hat to lead the team in sacks this year. James Laurinaitis praised him when he did his interviews, talked about how CJ Hicks, once he pulls that trigger, man, he is tough to deal with when it comes to getting after the quarterback on the blitz. So you should expect, if that's part of his game, that you're going to see some packages where CJ Hicks is lined up on the line of scrimmage, trying to bend that arc, little Baron Browning in the NFL type of situation, to where you say, hey, see ball, go get ball, CJ. Use your athleticism, speed, and power, and go make some plays. And I think you're going to get some of that from both of those guys this year.
Tight ends, G. Scott Jr., to me, there's no question he's going to be the starter. How do you see him doing this year? How do you see it going beyond G. Scott Jr.? Is it Will Kazmarek, Pat Gerd, Jelani Thurman? Obviously, is dripping with talent. Just break down the tight end position for me, Jay Book.
Yeah, I think G. Scott, he's going to be your steady Eddie, your leader out there as far as that position. Veteran guy that's been here for a while. Not maybe going to wow you with a lot of big time spectacular plays, but you're hoping that once he's in there, he's going to be consistent. He's going to be able to hold that block just an edge longer. That was something that they missed last year, was the blocking on the perimeter from the tight ends wasn't where you needed to be. Hopefully they're a lot better this year. They're bringing in the transfer and Will Kazmarek. He's going to be in the mix. I mean, Jelani Thurman, let's go, man. Keenan Bailey, hey, this is a guy that has all the potential in the world. We really need Keenan Bailey to squeeze every ounce of juice of talent from Jelani Thurman, because if you can get it out of him, Dave, he has the potential to be a primetime player. The question is can he be consistent? Can he do all the little things that needs to be done to make that impact? That's the big question mark, because if he can, just another weapon for Will Howard there.
And another weapon for Chip Kelly. Now, I want to ask you this. I want to get your thoughts on Chip Kelly, the impact he's going to have overall. But I want whatever you want to say about that. Specifically, I want you to comment on this, too, in addition to whatever else you want to say. So Ohio State was one of the worst teams in the country, as we've talked about, inside the 10-yard line last year. When they got first and goal, second and goal, third and goal, fourth and goal, it was like, oh, crap. Are they going backwards? How far backwards are they going? seriously though, they were one of the worst teams in the country anytime they were inside the 10. I think that's going to go from weakness to a strength because of Chip Kelly, his concepts, Will Howard's ability to run the ball, so on and so forth. Please address that. And what else do you expect Chip Kelly will really have a big impact on as far as his offense is concerned?
Yeah, and was it you, Dave, that asked Chip about the speed, and he was like, "These boys, these boys can go, they can run. This team has some guys that can really get out." So, with that being said, I think you're going to see an offense that's playing faster as far as the tempo in between. The red zone, you're going to see them playing faster. But I think he has such a dynamic playbook, Dave, that you're not going to always see the same thing that you saw over the last several years. Remember the stretch to the boundary, the reverse to Egbuka and Notre Dame to the boundary. That right there drove, fans crazy. Well, Chip Kelly comes to the table, it's like, yeah, the stretch play is part of my staple playbook as far as the run game. However, I have 22 different versions on how you should actually run it. So, when you got a mad scientist in there, it's like, okay, we can do it this way, we can do it this way, instead of your, kind of outdated way that we have been operating inside the 10-yard line. That's going to be, big time there. The other thing too, Dave, is having a true offensive coordinator, that can really like just focus and hone in to say, okay, I'm not being the head coach and the offensive coordinator. Once we get down to the 10-yard line, I already have this, and this ready to go. And you're kind of, you're not panicking because you're not trying to manage the quarterbacks. You're not trying to manage the entire team. You're not trying to, make sure that you're getting the right play call in. Chip's going to be able to take a lot of that off of Ryan Day. Now, don't get me wrong. Ryan Day is going to have some input on that, but just having Chip's veteran presence down there, I definitely think it's going to help elevate, the red zone. But when you have that 1-2-3 punch of, Judkins, Henderson, and Will Howard, both with that zone read there, that's going to open up some running lanes.
And no surprise, JB, but Chip Kelly's going to coach from the field. He joked in the spring, in a perfect world, he would zip line down to the field and back to the box. As he says, yeah, you can see the game better from the box, but I like seeing my guys, looking them directly in the eye. And as we know, he's been a head coach for so long. It's been forever since he's coached from the box, so it's not a big surprise. Your thoughts on that? I like my coordinators from the box, coaching from the box, but I get it that he's coaching from the field. Your thoughts on that?
I mean, Chip he's been calling plays for how many years from the sidelines, so I don't think it's a huge deal. You see it in the NFL, Dave. In the NFL, the top coordinators are pretty much down on the sidelines. You look at Lane Kiffin, he's down on the sideline, one of the top play callers. Sark, he's down on the sidelines. So, yeah, I mean, we've seen success with, Tom Herman up there in the booth calling the plays. But, I just think that with Chip and his veteran experience being able to do it, I don't think it's a big deal here. Now, keep in mind, you also have to remember they're going to a more modern concept with the tablets that's going to be on the sidelines, Dave. So with the Apple tablets or whatever that they're going to be having out there, the NFL, they have the Microsoft tablets where you get the cut ups of the plays, get shot over to the tablet while the defense is on the field. You see the quarterbacks are out there already on the sidelines looking at, what happened on the tablet. You're going to have that now in college football. So that's going to be able to accelerate some of the corrections that needs to be made with Chip Kelly down there on the sidelines and having the tablets. Also, keep in mind too, Dave, the NCAA changed the rule of analysts. Now the analysts can be involved in game day activity. So a guy like Tim Drevno or the quarterback coach that came over from UCLA, his name escaped my mind, any of the analysts that they have on staff that they really trust can be up in the booth to have a second and third, fourth set of eyes for the offense to really, call into the headsets to say, hey, they came out in this personnel. Maybe we should, check out to this or something like that. So I think having the analysts in the booth is going to be a big change that we haven't seen before.
Can't wait to get Jay Book's thoughts on what's going on in Michigan, what might be the sanctions, if anything. I want to get his thoughts on Caden McDonald, who looks really good to me. I want to get his thoughts on James Peoples and a few other things to finish the show. Before we do that, we'll let you know about Mando whole body deodorant for men. It's fantastic. It will be your new best friend. It's clinically proven to control odor for 72 hours. It's safe for the whole body. It stops odor before it starts. It's American made. I'm glad we're not sitting here this morning, J-Book, talking about a loss to Serbia yesterday. Thank goodness they made it through. Goodness gracious. But Mando, American made. It's available in 4 cologne quality scents. Bourbon leather is my favorite. I know it's J-Book's favorite as well. Mando starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant. That's what this is. 2 free products of your choice, like mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and free shipping. Luckily, I have a discount code to help you get hooked on my favorite smelling whole body deodorant on the market. New customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack. Use code Bucknuts at shopmando.com. Use code Bucknuts at shopmando.com, shopmando.com. Get rid of BO with Mando. There we go. All right. Michigan. Oh my gosh, the stuff that came out, it's like the preamble. They haven't even got to the cheating stuff yet. When they finally do, what do you think is going to happen with all this? They going to get a slap on the wrist? Or they going to get hammered? Something in between? What do you think?
I mean, the NCAA is so inconsistent. You don't know what they're going to come down with. The show calls and everything that was dropped on John Harbaugh. I tweeted it out, early in the week when it first came out. I think that the NCAA is setting the table to hit Michigan as repeat violators because of this, because they were, as this investigation was going on with the, COVID and the cheeseburger and all of that stuff, they were still committing other NCAA violations. So I think that they're going to get hit as repeat offenders here. With the NCAA, Dave, you don't know what's going to come, but it's hilarious that everybody outside of Michigan is saying, hit these guys, man, hammer them. I mean, I listened to the Sonny Dykes interview that he did this week. He said that when it came to Michigan, he truly believes if they weren't told ahead of time to change their signals, they would not have beat Michigan in that playoff game. So Sonny Dykes explained to everybody that in that interview, and I thought it was great. I think it was on Outkick. He said that what they did as far as Michigan, they knew that Michigan probably had their signs. So they created a ton of dummy signs. So what they would do is they would come to the line of scrimmage and their original play. They would look over to the sidelines for a check for me, throw up the little billboards and stuff or their signs and send in their signals. After that, Michigan would then check to what they thought that TCU was going to audible into, whereas TCU was like, nope, got you, same play call. But Sonny Dykes said originally when they were first asking around, they thought it was just sour grapes. People saying, hey, they probably got your signs or something like that. But after they started to do their digging, then they realized, like, this is way bigger than just, your typical, hey, we were able to capture your signals. This was a whole elaborate scheme here. So when Sonny Dykes breaks it down like that, Dave, that right there to me tells me that this is way bigger than, a kid got your cell phone, use an Apple cell phone signal to capture the plays or whatnot. No big deal. Because when you're on defense, Dave, if you know the ball's going to the right side, you start cheating over. You know that, hey, I need to keep that outside leverage, with my left arm, because I know that worst case scenario, I need to force the ball back inside. It's almost like going into your SAT or ACT and you having the answers to the test here, what it potentially might be. So if you know as a linebacker that the ball's going to be flowing to the right, you're going to start cheating that way. If you know that, hey, this is something that's going to be countered to the backside, you're not going to bite on that counter because the ball's coming back to the backside. So you just stay home or you start cheating over to where you think the ball's going to be at. So to me, as far as the competitive standpoint, Dave, that's where I think that they really cheated the game. And I believe that the NCAA, they're probably not going to vacate anything, but I can see them getting a two-year ban postseason. some reduction in scholarships. Sharon Moore potentially, doing a small suspension. And then at that point, Tony Alford would be called up to be the head coach for Michigan. Could you imagine that, though?
Maybe that was his plan all along, man. Maybe that's why that he knew. It's like, well, so like, doesn't Tony know they're going to get hammered? It's like, maybe he did. And he was like,
right.
I'm going to be head coach, baby.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, but I think that Michigan, I don't think they're going to fight it very much. I think what they're going to try to do is blame it all on Jim Harbaugh, let him be the scapegoat and say, no, that was the prior regime. All of those people are gone. Things are clear here. We're willing to try to cooperate now. That was the old way, but we're going to see, because I think the NCAA, I think they're going to wait to send the notice of allegations until they watch the Connor Stallions documentary that's going to come out. Because if Connor Stallions, drops a bomb and says, hey, we're doing this, and the NCAA was like, oh, that's against the rules, let's add that in there, I don't think it would make sense for them to send a notice of allegations without at least watching what this fluff piece of a documentary is going to be.
Yeah, getting his side of the story. Yeah, exactly. I imagine it is going to be very
with Dave Portnoy on there.
Yeah, exactly. Michigan fan Dave Portnoy, exactly. All right, let's finish the show with this. So, I mean, a lot of young guys have stood out. I mean, there's the obvious Jeremiah Smith, but a couple of young guys. Sophomore Caden McDonald looks great to me, D tackle. I expected Jason Moore would be like in there a lot with the twos rotating with the ones a little bit when the young guys, but Jason Moore maybe isn't coming along as fast as we thought. Caden McDonald, though, man, yesterday when they were doing some of the goal line stuff, he was in there. He's a beast in there at 330 pounds, strong, quick. Love what I'm seeing out of Caden McDonald, J Book. And then James Peoples, the true freshman running back. He continues to pop every time I see him out there. He's going to be the number 3 tailback, of course, right away. Those are two guys that are standing out to me. There's a lot. There are maybe some young guys that are standing